Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another fun episode of JHR Backstage.
Hello!
The companion podcast to my lovely music variety talk show that has a release schedule of something. It was weekly, now it's bi-weekly.
Now it's probably monthly.
Now it's going to be probably about monthly until school is over, yeah.
Exactly, probably monthly, because it'll probably come out every month, maybe. So maybe monthly. That's the official term.
Cool. Anyway,
today's
wonderful topic is something that we were supposed to talk about last podcast that we did not end up getting to because we took so long with the genre topic.
Yes.
It is the wonderful world of album artwork.
Yeah.
It was a topic brought up by you.
Yes.
That you wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So I will then leave it to you to start our conversation here.
Sure. So I know one thing that for album art, it is very important that when creating album art, that the feeling and aesthetic you're going for your entire album is delivered. Very, very important. So when it comes to creating album art, at least personally, typically, if I'm remembering my creative process correctly, which actually I have to think because the last album...
It is your creative process.
Yeah, which is the last album I made was earlier this year, and a lot of my albums came out last year too, so I'm trying to remember exactly how I do it. But as far as I know, because it differs sometimes, my creative process goes that I create the album art first, and then I make the songs.
Yeah.
The reason that I do this is because when you create the album art, you set the tone for your album before you even start.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have that tone, the rest of your songs are going to follow suit because you have that tone already in your mind. All of the songs blend together really well because you already have that tone, and they all follow a good structure because of that. So when I design all of my album arts in Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. That's how I make
yours and mine.
Yep,
because you're currently my album art artist as well.
Exactly. I create all of my art in Adobe Illustrator, and when it comes to creating album art, I want to make sure that it sets the tone for the album. I want to make sure that it is just as fun looking at the album as it is listening to it. So I always try to design my albums to be as fun or as interesting as possible. So when you quote unquote hired me on to become your album artist, I thought it would be a fun challenge to start doing that for other people's music. Just based off of the title alone, I would create album art, and I would and you would give me like a rough outline of what you were looking for, and basically create them, and it's a lot of fun. It's very interesting, and that's creating album art has led to some of my cooler art pieces, especially
Welcome to My Dreams is my favorite, I think.
Of
yours?
Love that album art too. It is definitely one of the more successful ones that I've created in recent years, and I love how it came out. I love how your latest album came out.
That one, that one's coming out next Monday, I think it is, or sometime the 19th, whenever that is.
I think that's next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay,
Yes. I loved how that came out. I don't want to talk about it just in case you haven't.
On here I have.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, you can go ahead.
So the one thing I love about that, my favorite. I'll cover this first. I think I talked about this before, but one of my favorite aesthetics is the vaporwave aesthetic.
Yep.
So when it comes to, I remember I made a vaporwave. Technically, it's an EP, but it was originally an album. Thanks, Spotify.
VHS Arcadia.
Yes, right? VHS Arcadia, and its subtitle was the Vaporwave album, and then Spotify changed what constitutes as an album, and it's no longer an album, which just adds to the joke. But designing that vaporwave aesthetic was really fun. It's just like it's the vaporwave sun on a beach. The water itself is like polygonal and all this stuff, and I have a lot of fun with it. So when it came time to design yours, I wanted to take that concept and make it like take the vaporwave concept but drive it in a more unique direction. And so I blacked out the entire image, like it's all consisting of silhouettes with outlines for lighting. And I think that it fits the style pretty well, and I really like how it came out. It's a similar concept to how I did. It's a similar concept of how I did "Welcome to My Dreams," but in a different vein, and it's unique enough. But I really like how that one came out.
Yeah, I only had like a rough vision for that one, like I normally do with any of the DJ Witchcraft ones, minus the second one, which had like an actual like direct thing that I wanted. But like with my first, third, and fourth album, I kind of just had a rough estimate, and then just let you run wild, which is just the best way to get any good art out of you. But
it's true. If you give me a very rough concept of something, I will run with it.
Thank you for making more editing work for me.
Sorry.
this is not Bio Dragons, sir.
Yeah.
Check out our other podcast, by the way. Anyway, we have 2 episodes. That's it for now. But it will come back. We promise. Anyway, yeah, I'm super happy with how the View from Here's album artwork came out. And for our cable access and YouTube viewers, I will try and remember to add it like as an overlay to our normal graphic, just so you can take a look at it, as well as Welcome to My Dreams. For our Spotify listeners,
just look it up.
Look it up. You're on Spotify already. Both of the albums are on Spotify by the time you're listening to this, I think.
Yeah. So
our View from Here will be out soon. But
right. So View from Here is on DJ Witchcraft.
Yes.
And then Welcome to My Dreams will be on the Sketched Out Orchestra. So make sure, because we know you're on Spotify. We see you. Don't look at me like that. Go to your search bar and look at it. I know you want to.
Anyway, yeah, no, the album artwork. So I used to make my own album artwork for all my stuff that was under the James Hurley branding, and I had a ton of fun doing it. And then when it came time to do DJ Witchcraft, I had plans and ideas to a point where like it was nothing that I could feasibly do on my own, and like we had just fully connected at that rate. Like it was a little couple years after. This was 2017, but it was one of those like, hey, there's a person that's talented in digital art that can do more than I could ever, and I can actually, make the album artwork I want.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely proud of some of the ones that I made under the James Hurley label.
I can't remember what they look like.
Yeah, no, you don't have to. I am proud of them. I'm not proud of the albums themselves, but the album art is great. Particularly for my last 2, which was Pleasure of the Pain and Gates of Oblivion. Mad at myself for even having to think about that. But I've been on DJ Witchcraft for so long now, I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, album artwork is one of those things that like can make or break me picking up a CD, even like a new CD off the rack or whatever. If it's not from a band I already know.
Yeah, it's true. I also love the ones that have like very cinematic shots, because Grant Kirkhope recently released an album of remastered Banjo-Kazooie music called Banjo-Kazooie Rejiggied.
Yep.
And it slaps. It's really, really good. But the album art itself looks so nice. Like the logo that he has for it is really pretty. It's like but it's a very cinematic shot of just like Banjo's backpack like hanging on like a coat rack, and like there's like a feather sticking out of it, and like the style is really nice. It's such a nice cinematic shot, and I love that. I love either you make you have a subject, or you have like a cinematic view, and I think that those are some of the most successful ones. Even if you combine the like JHR does this, where they have subjects and a cinematic view at the same time, and those are really cool.
And they just keep turning into different figurine types, which I find really, really funny.
I love that. Yeah. So as somebody's like art style who changes on the regular. Stuff like that is incredible.
So for those of you unaware, their second album, well, actually, we can go all the way back to their first album. Their first album, their live action. It's just it's them sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
And then in a drawn living room.
Yeah.
And their second album was them as like Disney cartoons. Their third album was them as puppets.
Yep.
Like felt puppets. Well, not felt. They were more like knitted puppets.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, knitted puppets is probably better. And then their most recent album, their porcelain dolls, which like the amount of times their artwork changes, and it's just great because like I'm curious on their fifth album what form
What'll
they
be
will take
next.
this time. Yeah,
what form will they take?
What form will the wonderful band JHR take this go around?
Yeah, I love doing that though. I like because, excuse me, with each new album that I usually produce, my artistic ability usually gets improved.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say each passing one of your albums is just like you try more and more on the album artwork.
Yeah, thank you. It's just one of those things where, like, because I improve so much, I want to experiment more, and then my style ends up changing slightly every time I do it. And so, like, I've hit a point where, like, you can usually tell it's my style, but I try to manipulate how I use certain things in that style, and, like, I change the way certain things look in that style. And so I love messing with stuff, just tiny details, even, like, I remember our wonderful friend was like, "Oh, you must be annoyed at how many times you have to change my hair when drawing my caricature." And I looked at her and I went, "You realize I redraw myself like in a new style every other month, right?"
I do like though that for how much you redrew yourself every now and again. I kept that toothpaste hair for like ever.
You kept that for a while, yeah. I like your new hair better because it fits it much more.
Me too.
Yeah. I have finally hit a point where I can draw all of you. So like I was like, oh, I know exactly what you all look like now because I've seen you enough times and I've drawn you enough times at this point where I know exactly how to draw all of you. Which for all of you who don't know, I always draw like the same 5 of us.
Yeah.
Like all the time. It's like me, my brother, this lovely chap over here, and then 2 of our other friends. I draw us all the time, and so like just with each new iteration, there's always something different. And it's when it comes to album art and stuff, like I just it's got to be cinematic. It's got to look cool. It's got to be interesting to look at because that's what they have to stare at when listening to the music. So they got to enjoy it.
My absolute favorite, I think, still is when I was making the second DJ Witchcraft album.
Yep.
And I had made an album art, and I showed it to you, and you're like, "Is that what you're going with?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's like, and and then you're like,
"Just what people do."
No, that was Drawn It With Sound.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this was my the second album.
Oh, right. Yeah. I didn't know if there was like what just what people
do was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. And that one I came directly to you.
Yeah.
And then for the second one, I tried my hand at it myself and was going to move forward with it till you were like, "What?" And then you were like,
hold beer.
I was going to say, I was like one of those like, "Hold on, give me a second."
Yeah.
And then you pretty much traced over what I had done in the same art style as Just What People Do. And I was like, "Oh, all right, well, that works."
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to go ahead with that. And then you inadvertently became the official like
album
graphic
artist.
designer,
Yeah.
album artist for DJ Witchcraft.
I was like, I mean, if you're going to have a style, you might as well keep it consistent.
Yeah.
And so I just like replicated what you had in the style that I had at the time. God, I want to redo all those old album arts.
I mean, Just What People Do still holds up.
Yes, it does.
Drawn It With Sound, yeah, definitely could use a remaster.
I
but
would love to redo a bunch of those.
not too long ago, I actually did remaster all of my old album arts from like albums that no one will ever hear ever again.
Yeah.
Just for my own fun. Mostly because like I used to hand draw them. And even if there were multiple copies of the album that existed, like if I sold any or like gave out any, they was like you each pretty much got a unique drawn album cover.
Oh,
it was the same
great.
thing. I just had to draw it every time. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome.
So like they're all hand drawn. So just like about a year ago, I went back and redid all of them in digital art.
Yeah.
With some success.
Right.
Some of them don't hold up anymore, and I want to redesign them really badly, but I'm just not going to because like I said, those albums will never see the light of day anyway. There's no use in it.
I would love to mass produce physical editions of my CDs. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and we've never done mass produced, but I've definitely helped you.
Yes.
I've produced physical media for us before.
Yes, that is true. I wish we could like get our music like on shelves.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be
I know Bull Moose has like a program like that where you could like submit stuff to them and they'll like review it and go, hey, yeah, we can sell this or whatever.
It's too bad we don't go.
I was going to say, too bad
anymore.
I don't want to support Bull Moose anymore.
Yeah.
But that's a whole that could be a topic for its own podcast.
Yeah,
essentially.
it is music related.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that
next time.
Next time, whenever the next podcast is. But anyway, yeah. I know Newbury Comics has a similar thing, but because they're more corporate, if you will, it's a little bit harder to get through than just like the pretty mom and pop Bull Moose. So
that makes sense. I also, speaking of remastering stuff, I don't know if I've talked about this or not. I probably did. But the Over Under soundtrack is getting a remaster. My iPhone started, being smart, and like I was actually able to continue production on that now because GarageBand was like, "Oh yeah, I need to be updated." So now everything's there, and I can actually start working on it again. I took a small break because we have something very important coming up soon, so I wanted to focus my attention on that and school and all that fun stuff. So I'm hoping that in early 2022 or even late 2021, that album will be able to come out. I have a few songs prepared already, but I'm still working on it. But I remember I was just like, I finished, Welcome My Dreams came out, and then I did Mad Dash to Safety and Dinner for One.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, well, I was going to stop, and then I was like, well, what would I do next if I want, because it always starts with me being like, I want to make a song. And then I'm like, well, now I want to make an album. And like, I was like, what do I want to do for my next album? And I was like, and so I looked through a bunch of my old discography, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to remake Over Under, but instead of doing the chiptune software I used online like last time, I'm going to do it in GarageBand because that's my forte. So I started that production and realized that it's probably going to take a lot longer than I thought. And so I'm currently working on that. But
I find it really funny that you did that just around the same time that NSP announced Level Up.
Yeah.
They had no correlation to one another.
No.
But like, it's super funny that it happened just at once. So like a band that we listen to called NSP, which I won't say their full name for the sake of this podcast.
We're not allowed to.
Yeah. But they just released an album of remastered tracks from their older albums. Love it or hate it, it exists now. But it is funny that it came out at around the same time that you were starting to talk about doing Over Under.
Yeah. I want to make a game so bad.
Me too.
Me too. I've made one and it's released. It's just so broken, and I haven't been able to go back to fix it, and I won't be able to go back to fix it at this point. So I just have to find a new. Yeah. I just have to figure out how to make it again. But anyway, so yes, that will hopefully be coming out soon. For anyone who doesn't know, Over Under is a canceled RPG project that I had a long time ago.
I played the demo of it.
Yes, you did. That was my first. That was one of my first instances of people telling me I had talent, I believe. Yeah. And like, I'm sure people said it before, maybe. I don't know. I don't mean to sound entitled or anything like that. Sorry. But like, I think people may have said it before, but I remember that game specifically because you included were saying that like it was coming along nicely.
Yeah,
and
that was really fun.
Yeah. And so I was like, maybe I'm built for this. And so like, I just, I always loved doing creative stuff and making music, and I've always wanted to make a game. And so yeah, it's just Over Under has a weird personal spot. So I figured redoing the soundtrack would be fitting. I already reimagined Through the World. Yes, I heard that.
Yeah, okay.
I already reimagined Through the World.
And I wasn't a part of that one, but one of my tracks was reimagined. Yeah.
Yes. I find it funny that I always do reimagined. I never do remastered. I never do anything like that. It's always the reimagined.
Reimagined fits your brand a lot more.
It does, because
Yeah.
it's like imagination is at the forefront of my company. So when we redo something, we reimagine it in a different way. And it technically makes sense because it's not a remaster,
Yeah.
because then it would just be the same thing but better. And then it's not a remix because it's not parts of the original turned into a new thing. It's literally just entirely created by hand.
You listened to
in a
the
new way.
original project and was like, yes, this is what I want to do now.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
listened to the original. I was like, I know what I could do, and then change it and make a new
Ferb,
one.
I know what we're going to do today.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing we do every night. Phineas try and take over the world. I don't know. I've been watching Animaniacs season 2 completely on a separate basis.
Phineas and Ferb.
I mean, both Animaniacs and Phineas and Ferb are both shows with music in them, so I guess it still counts.
Sure, man.
Yep.
Let's go with
Although
that
this-
loose hanging thread.
Although this season of Animaniacs doesn't have as many songs as it typically would.
I haven't even watched. I want to really badly, but I haven't watched this season yet. I'm getting there.
You watched the first season of the reboot, right?
Yeah.
It
I
was-
loved it.
I liked the first season a lot. Season 2 didn't grab me the same way, but I think that's more of a conversation for Bio Dragons.
Yeah.
Than
And also,
Backstage.
I have to watch it first before we can talk
Yeah,
about it.
but anyway,
Level Up's album art, by the way, was
it looks
nice.
It's pretty nice, but
I
it looks
liked
the
it.
exact same as every other Ninja.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's
NSP thing,
consistency.
yeah.
But I don't know. I like the roller rink with like the okay. I will say at the very least the logo looks cool.
Yeah, the logo does look
The
cool.
logo
Yeah.
looks really cool. I got the pin. The pin is dope.
I just couldn't bring myself to buy another $50 signed CD
That's fine.
because I spent that much for the Prophecy their last album.
I'll be
but-
honest with you. I wish I didn't.
Yeah, because
because-
it honestly the end product wasn't that good.
Yeah, I have several problems with the new album.
Yeah.
I think the idea was great, and I think their execution of it was
the
subpar.
spirit was there, the execution was wrong,
The spirit was there. The fun was missing.
and I
That
think
was
a
the
lot
problem.
of what needed to be fixed probably could have been fixed with some like re-licensing negotiation or something like that. Because I'd imagine a lot of the missing talking and stuff like that is because they probably couldn't use that person's voice again 10 years later. But at the same rate, why wouldn't you just
it
have
was-
someone else record it at that
no,
rate?
because a lot of the talking bits were Danny.
No, but there's girls in plenty of them. Like the one particularly that comes to mind that I know was removed is the
Hey, who is that masked man?
Well,
That's
no,
Ninja
even like
Brian.
the
Let's shut up about him. Let's
the
focus on me. Because I
Queen
know
goes
that
to
one.
places you can't even believe, and then like the girl
Can't
goes,
even dream.
I just dreamed it. And,
Oh, yeah.
like she's gone now, but I'd imagine that's probably like a licensing thing in that
Maybe.
like her voice was licensed out for that song 10 years ago.
But they could have just gotten.
But they could have just, like I said,
yeah.
they could have just gotten someone else to re-record it. I don't understand why they got rid of all the flavor to these songs.
That is
Like,
why I don't like this
Yeah.
album. If they had included those, I would have loved this album.
Yeah.
But they got rid of it, and I was like,
I will
I'm
say-
going to make my own versions where I add them back.
I will say some of the ones that don't need flavor speech like that are some of the most definitive additions to listen to these songs.
Oh, yeah.
Like I know
Those are
Party
really
of
good.
3 and I Just Want to Dance and stuff like that are both like absolutely fantastic on this album,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
subpar on their original albums. So
I love 6969. I know you're indifferent to it, but I love the remastered one.
I'm indifferent to the remaster. I love the original.
Well, no, of course,
Yeah.
but like I think the remaster was done really well. Yeah, Dinosaur Laser Fight was a very interesting take.
I loved it.
That I did not mind.
Yeah, I
thought
loved the reimagining of Dinosaur Laser Fight.
it was fun.
And that one had the flavor text, which made it all more confusing.
Yeah.
as to why all the rest of them were missing it.
I firmly believe this album was rushed.
It probably
or
was.
something because
Yeah.
like there's a lot that was I was
But
like
why? We just got the Prophecy like not even a year ago, so it's not like we were like chomping at the bit for anything.
I think that's why, because they just got off of their last album
Yeah.
and maybe they needed a new album or something. Which
They're
would
not
make
on
sense,
a
though,
record
'cause-
label or anything like that, as far as I'm aware. So like, there's not any like contract demand for a new album or anything like that. If it needed more time, it should have gotten more time, considering like we had content. Prophecy wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why they felt the need to rush it if that is what happened.
Right.
Like,
That's a good point. I don't know. Oh, so why would they need to rush it since they have all of the songs written already?
exactly. Yeah. And they just need to bring Twerp
Right.
in. Like,
Which, Christ, they could they could pump out the instrumentals in like a week.
Yeah.
Like it's twerp. Like, so it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, this whole album just confused me from the second it was announced.
Yeah.
Like, which is really funny because I thought it was a follow up to the Prophecy when they first announced it, and I was like, "Wow, you guys work fast." I was like, "Wow, that's another album already." Like, you just got off the tour thing for Prophecy. Like, I was like, "Wow, geez." Like,
yeah, I was about to be really
and then,
impressed, and then I wasn't.
And then when they officially announced what it actually was, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's upgraded versions," I was like, "Oh." Okay.
I was excited. I was excited because I was like, hell yeah.
There's just a certain charm to them that, like, I feel like gets lost when you remaster them like that.
That's fair. I still was looking forward to
Especially with none of the flavor speech or anything like that.
Fair enough.
And
but I just
the
like
definite absence of Steel Panther in 69.
Okay, I also want to talk about that. My brother and I did not.
Yeah.
We couldn't tell the difference. Like we thought it sounded.
What's really funny
pretty
to me
close.
is that I could understand right away that was Aaron trying to be.
It's just
Steel
sounded.
Panther.
It sounded so similar to us and Dan listens to Steel Panther.
That's fair.
So it was weird that like it was weird to me that you could and he couldn't.
Like literally the second he started singing, I was like, oh. Ooh, they couldn't get Steel Panther back, could they? I was like, that is Aaron trying his best. Like,
I think it still
it still sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of problems with Level Up. Like, and I'm excited to see what they do next because I know that they're done doing cover albums as far as they said. So, and I know Brian's side band just released their second album not too long ago.
Go Banana Go.
Yeah, Go Banana Go. They just released their second album not too long ago. So,
oh, cool. I forgot that band existed.
Yeah, and I'm sure you forgot that that Danny had a side project too with the Super Guitar Brothers because I sure did.
I remember that happening because I remember looking at the set list and being like, "That's boring," and moved on. So,
sure. So our guest for the next episode that we're about to tape are here. So I'm gonna. You can keep talking. I'll be back with you in just a second.
Sure. Yeah. So, album art. It's pretty cool, pretty interesting, pretty fun to look at. Now, if you think about it for at least a second, just think about it. Album art is like the skin and bones of an album. Pretty interesting. It's the first thing you see, first thing that you're going to comprehend. It's like, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but can you really judge an album by its album art? The answer is yes. But the point that I'm trying to get here is that it can really add to it, and if you really know what you're doing, much like how a book artist needs to know what they're doing, you can really add. You can really add to the album. Now, I don't think that album art is made the same way that book covers are made, because as far as I know, when it comes to books, the book is sent to an artist, and the artist is like, this is dope, here's what you get, and the author doesn't typically have say over it, which is pretty epic. So thank you, writing world. But I don't think that's how album art works.
I know
Thank God you're back.
Yeah, I know the record label has to approve it.
Well, that's fair, yeah.
But I think for the most part, it's left up to the artist. But I think that really depends on what kind of artist. Like, I know a lot of those manufactured pop superstars probably have no,
probably not,
no decision on what their album art looks like.
No, not unless you're like Taylor Swift and you're like, I want this.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Well, now Taylor Swift can do that. Under her original contract, I'm sure she definitely couldn't.
Probably not.
Given how boring and simple all of her album covers are compared to when she got control, I'd imagine she had no say.
Probably not, yeah. Fair point.
But we're just about done here.
Wow.
I'm going to call it just a minute early just for the hell of it.
That's fine. We got
and that's
stuff
completely
to do,
okay.
So.
We are going to go tape an episode. So
Hooray.
See y'all next time.
See you later, guys.